This is the Real Estate Investing 365 podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing strategies so you can start living the life you want and get where you want to go. With your host, Justin Hanna.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Real Estate Investing 365. Today I got, it's a new guest for you guys, but it's a returning guest for me because I'm so smart. I ended up deleting a bunch of podcasts, but I got Bob Lachance here with me. He's from the, where is it, Bob? Like Massachusetts, aren't you? Or Connecticut?
Connecticut, right next to Mass. I lived in Massachusetts for about 7 years, so close enough.
Okay. Well, he's a real estate investor out there. He also owns a company called Riva Global, which is like a virtual assistant staffing company, I believe. So he's going to get in here and drop some knowledge on us and how he got to where he is today. So Bob, thanks, man. Thanks for being here again with me.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I see you moved safely, so that was good.
Yeah, we got out here to Idaho. I'm happy with that for sure, especially, all the fires and everything in California. But it's like I can't get away from it because the smoke is so bad that it's blowing all the way from California to here in Idaho. So it's like,
hey, at least you got away from the taxes, so that's just step in the right direction there.
Got away from the taxes and the riots.
That's right.
Not that I had so many up where I was from, but it's kind of crazy. So anyways, why don't you give everybody a little background about you, what you did before real estate, how you kind of got into it, the reasons why, and all that fun stuff.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So I started investing back in 2004. Prior to that, I played professional hockey for 8 years. I was drafted by St. Louis Blues, played in their organization for 4 years, went to Europe for 4 more years. And then beginning of 2004, I decided to retire because it was either take my family over there and have my wife quit her job. I just had my first son, or start the real world. So, it was a tough decision because, growing up in a hockey locker room all your life, you don't really, when you're in Europe and in other countries, you don't have the network like you do here. If you're in college, you're working a job, you're still building networks. When you are living in Europe and you literally do not have networks anywhere except European hockey players, it doesn't build a business network that you typically need. So I started reading books. I didn't know what industry I wanted to get into, so I started reading books on real estate. And I figured I would look for an industry that did not need a degree, because one thing I did not tell you is I left school early to sign a professional contract. So it was either go back to school, finish those 2 classes that I needed, or jump into an industry that I did not need a degree. So I elected to jump into an industry that has no barrier of entry, which is real estate investing.
It's true. I know so many people that are like 1 or 2 classes short of getting a degree, and they're just like, screw it. They never go back. But like me, I never went to college, and I did a little bit here and there, but I was like, man, I feel like I could go out and make way more money than most of my college friends in real estate or other businesses that I've done, and not have to get all that debt going on. So it's probably a good choice, and obviously it worked out for you.
Not too bad. So anyways, so I started back into keep with my story. Started back in 2004. My first deal was a rehab deal. I was driving around neighborhoods looking at properties that were, dilapidated, roofs, need new roofs, siding, long grass, etc. So I saw a listed property. I looked it up online. It was listed for $175,000. I put an offer in for this is going back. I think it was either $135 or $145, and they accepted the offer.
Okay.
And my heart started flying. I'm like, what the heck do I do now? Because, I knew nothing about real estate. I didn't have contractors. I thought I was a rehabber because I read a book.
Yeah.
Ended up, they accepted my offer, found money, found contractors, ended up making about $32,000 on that deal, which is fantastic. But I was back and forth from Home Depot every single day, back and forth, which means I had no systems, no marketing. I didn't know what marketing was. So 2 months later, when I got that check, I joined my local real estate association, and I saw a speaker on pre-foreclosure, and a very good speaker. At that time, I would have bought anything. If you were selling subject twos or whatever, luxury flips, I would have bought that product. So I ended up buying and investing in that product. I read the whole course from front to back, listened to all the audios, and then that was pre-foreclosure short sales. So the next real estate investment group, I looked around, I met a bunch of people, and I said, who is the best in Connecticut? Again, remember, I think I was 30 years old at this time. I could be off by a year or two. It's way back when. Who the best in Connecticut was, and they pointed to the same gentleman, Patrick Precourt. So I walked up to him. I said, Pat, you have no idea who I am, but I'm looking for any type of role that you may have open. And he goes, well, actually, I'm looking for a door knocker. And I'm like, I have no idea what door knocking is or what that entails, but I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. So the first year I door knocked every single day, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Knocked on, I don't know how many doors every day. He just gave me a script. He gave me a pre-foreclosure list. And I went door to door to door to door to door. And then finally, I put my time in. I graduated from that. And then I got another door knocker, took my place, and I started negotiating with banks. And then over the time, we've done 800 plus short sale transactions. And then got into a real estate education platform. So I started a coaching program in the short sale world. Then we partnered up and joined one of the biggest real estate education programs out there. And then through that time, I realized that, I'll fast forward this, I realized that there's a huge need in the industry for help. And that's individuals, if you think about it, if you look at majority of the coaching students, maybe a lot of people on this podcast, they either work part-time or they work full-time, and they're looking to add real estate as a side hustle, right? And the light bulb went on. I said, there's got to be something out there to help with those typical individuals. And 2013, I saw I think it was probably a webinar or something back then on virtual assistants. And I had no idea, truth be told, didn't have any idea what a virtual assistant was back then, but that was a light bulb. I'm like, there's a business there. So 2014, I launched my first business, and now I'm flipping properties myself using our own virtual assistants. I've had a virtual assistant company since, like I said, 2014, and here we are.
Sweet. Yeah, that was a lot. And one thing I love about the story is that, you had one career that was totally like removed from real estate, had nothing to do with it. You knew nothing about it. And you just figured, hey, I'm going to jump into this. So you went from just that one flip house, and then it took you in a totally different direction to, the short sale, pre-foreclosure, then training of other people, coaching programs, and now virtual assistant companies. So real estate's really like one of those industries where you can have that like vertical integration. And as further you go up, and get into your business, you see like all these other doors that open up. Well, why don't I just start this company? Why don't I just start this company? So that's awesome.
There's a lot of verticals. You nailed it. With real estate investing, it's pretty cool. If you get in as a wholesaler, you may then start rehabbing. If you get into rehabbing, long-term wealth building is buy and hold passively, right? You could get into commercial. You could get into, just like you said, buying notes. You could get into pretty much anything within the space.
Yeah. So going back to when you first got started, now, were you in the NHL? Like, is that what it is?
I signed in the NHL, and I played one exhibition game, and then I went to the AHL, which is the league right underneath the NHL. So I stayed here for 4 years and off to Europe.
So I think some people, when they listen, they're like, oh, he was an ex-pro hockey player, he must have millions of dollars in the bank. Was it necessarily that way? I wouldn't imagine AHL pays what the NHL pays.
My signing bonus was $110,000 US, but I didn't have any idea what taxes were as soon as I got that check. So I got it broken down into 4 different checks, and I ended up netting like $17,500, I think, around that number. And I looked at the check. I'm like, what the heck? Where's the rest of it? I looked under the check. It wasn't there. It was gone. Taxes. Poof.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So that's a good point, because then you played in the NHL, you played for you played professional hockey, but you were traveling around. It wasn't like you just got started, had millions of dollars to go out there. You were just kind of like a lot of people, especially at 30 years old. There's a lot of people, the same with myself, that had worked other jobs. They want to move into real estate or switch careers. You might have some money saved up, but it's not like you have a ton. So you kind of have to do, like pull yourself up and get started from nothing. So you went and got started with, working for somebody as a door knocker at 30 years old, and you're knocking on doors. Now, what do you recommend other people to go out, and how do they find somebody like that to work for? Because obviously you learned a lot from that, and that's kind of what jump-started your whole career, right?
Yeah, back in the day, I found them on Craigslist, but now you could go to Indeed. Indeed's a good way. So we just brought on an acquisition manager for my real estate business, and I found him on Indeed. So I think that's a great way. Another one is Wise Hire. Check out Wise Hire for some local individuals, for door knockers, or like I said, for acquisition person in your office. Very good place to find them.
So yeah, look up, like, what do you think you look up? Like real estate investment companies, or like what type of companies would you be looking for to try to apply? I guess you could also find it if you go to like a local
You're looking
RIA
for sales, but you're looking for salespeople, right?
sales job. Yeah.
Yep, sales job. And what happens is, so we literally, I probably 70 people that responded. We had a pretty good ad looking for an acquisition manager, and they called, and I looked through all the resumes, followed up with a bunch of people. Individually, we ended up bringing on, worked for a property management company, which is fantastic. And his family, he grew up in real estate investing. So that for us was a no-brainer. Did some phone work, etc. So
yeah,
it's good.
Okay, that's cool. That's funny that you said you just hired the acquisition manager.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm like right there trying to figure out,
Send me an email. I'll send you our ad. That we posted.
That'd be good. Okay, so for somebody out there, you got that first property, you started moving into all those different types of things. What type of properties is somebody, if they're just getting started, what do you think they should kind of look for? Do you think they should go right to the MLS like you said you did, or should they, try to do off-market mailing, texting, cold calling? What do you think about that?
I mean, my advice is if you look in the MLS, you will be out of business in 2 seconds, just because there's a lack of inventory. I have agents come to us all day long saying, how do you guys find all these properties? How do you find all these properties? It's off. Everything is off MLS, because once it goes to the MLS, an agent's going to price it this high, right? Until whatever bubble that we're in ends up bursting, and you have more opportunities to buy with less buyers. There's a lot of buyers out there. There's less inventory. So you gotta, specifically look off market.
Okay. I don't think last time we spoke, obviously nobody else is going to hear it, but I don't think we kind of went this route. But now that we're talking about it, why don't we kind of go down like the, your business, how your business runs besides, your VA company and that sort of thing. But is it a wholesaling company? Do you do wholesale flip, or do you keep buy and hold rentals?
So
what do you guys do?
We do all of those. So we do wholesale, we do wholesale, which is just buying the property if you want, cleaning up, but also listing it right back in the MLS, right? Okay. And then we do rehabs, and we do buy and holds.
Okay.
So we do all 4 of those. And so we have a huge part of my business, our virtual assistants run. So we tie in, obviously I have a virtual assistant service that I run, but I've always been the type of person where I have to use, if I'm going to own a company, I have to use that service that I'm selling. Right. Because I don't, for all those people who know me, they know, this is how I am, and this is how I've always been, is you have to, and I get this question a lot, and I'm going off of maybe on a tangent. If anybody on this call is listening and they want to vet a company, whether it's a virtual assistant company, my company, or whether it's another company service provider, make sure they're actually in the industry and the business that you're doing. Right? I think it's very, very important, because that's the only way you understand or know what the pain points are in that particular business. Right. So that's just, I know it's a kind of a side thing, but I think that's pretty important.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. So you guys are doing all those, what you were saying, right? You do wholesale, wholesale, flips, buy and hold. So like say somebody wants to do the exact same thing. How are you going about getting the deals? Because you said the deals go on the MLS, you're going to be out of business. And I agree, especially in every market almost. MLS is under, there's not enough inventory, and stuff's moving very quickly. So how do you get the deals?
I mean, I'll tell you what we do, and we train our virtual assistants on the same thing. We do cold calling, we do text messaging, and we also do direct mail. So those are our main stuff. We do a little bit of PPC as well, but those are our 3 top main things, and we hit the same list. So for instance, if I'm going to get I just pulled a list today from West Hartford, my hometown. I pulled it 5+ years. So if you have any type of list provider out there, if you own the property for 5+ years, if it's got high equity and it's multifamily, I bought that list, and I'm skip tracing it, got skip trace list back. So I'm going to text, call, and direct mail that list. So that's what I do.
So when you say pull the list, where are you pulling the list from?
So we use 2 sources. One's RealFlow, and the other one is from PropStream.
PropStream. Okay, yeah, PropStream is what I use. And a lot of people out there, they recommend ListSource.
Yep.
ListSource is great too. The only reason I don't use it is because, Idaho is one of 5 states that ListSource doesn't operate in because non-disclosure. But they're in most other states. So ListSource, PropStream, ListSource, RealFlow, those where you pull the list. So that's where you can go and kind of type in criteria, right? You type in like you were saying, 5+ years of ownership, a certain amount of equity, the type of property, single family, multifamily, and what does it do?
Non-occupied, whatever it is.
Yeah, occupied, not occupied, absentee owner. So does it just give you a list for the people listening? Does it just shoot you down like a spreadsheet of all the addresses?
Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll put it, whatever system you have, it kind of works the same way. So it'll give you all of the names, addresses, and what you do is you click a button that says, yep, download. And what you do is you export that, and then you get them skip traced. What skip tracing means is you look for their phone number, right? The best opportunity for that one person to actually have a phone number. And there's a lot of these companies. I think PropStream has its internal skip trace company within PropStream, RealFlow as well. And there's some other companies out there as well that are very good.
Okay.
I get mine done through my skip tracing service that I use. We talked about that before. I use Launch Control, and we use their skip trace service within Launch Control.
Okay. Yeah. So for what I do here is we use batch skip tracing.
Yep.
I used Launch Control before, and then I used PropStream has a list skip tracing service also. But I find for me, here in Idaho, because it's harder to find data, batch seems to do pretty well. So you get the numbers, you pull the list, you decide what areas you want to be in, you pull the list, then you go out and you skip trace it so you get phone numbers. And now do you go out and do you do direct mail first, or do you call first or text first? What do you do?
I do them all at the same time. So what I do, I have my virtual assistant outbound dialing every single day. I have another virtual assistant that actually handles my launch control, which uploads my list. And we have a remote lead manager, we call them, that goes back and forth. The reason why I love this is they send the initial text, and all of the responses, they'll go back and forth until somebody says, yes, I want to sell. And then boom, my remote lead manager sends that hot lead right over to us, and we call them immediately. So it takes over a lot of that. I started text messaging myself, and I got burnt out literally after the second day. I'm like, screw this, dude.
That's how I am too.
So I'm done. So I got together. My buddy owns the company at Launch Control, and it is very, very good. I got we were just talking about this before we jumped on the call.
Yeah.
I had 2 properties under contract last week, which we already have them assigned. We have a total of $50,000 we're going to make on those 2 deals, right?
That's awesome.
I mean, is that the norm in 1 week? No, it's not the norm.
No,
if you get 1 deal, 2 deals, 3 deals a month, that's huge for the return on investment that it costs for what we're talking about. That's just one lead source.
Yeah, definitely. So what you're saying is Launch Control is the texting platform. There's some others out there. I think Lead Sherpa and some CRMs can do some, blast texting, multiple texting at the same time. But actually, like Bob just mentioned, I've used Launch Control. I was recently using Launch Control. I actually really like it. It's a good platform. We'll continue to use it in the future. We're just taking a break from it right now. But so texting, Launch Control, what calling program does your VAs use? So
we use Five9 for outbound dialing, but we have clients that use our virtual assistants that use Mojo, or there's a lot of call tools. There's a lot of different types of tools out there. We use Five9. I have a whole separate company set up with outbound dialing called Deal Dialers. And this is, we have about 20 virtual assistants that are hammering the phones all day long. And that's just a kind of a side company that we have set up. But we also have our one-on-one virtual assistants that use Mojo, call tools. We just signed up for smartphone, and we have that attached to our Podio. So to answer your question, if you have a one-on-one VA and you have Podio, there's an app called Smartphone, no A in it, SMRT, and then PHONE. So we just have that within our Podio.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. That was kind of where I was going next. So just so everybody knows, the flow that we're doing here, you get your area, again, you pull your list, you skip trace your list, then you go and you get a texting platform like Launch Control. You upload your list to that. You text them or hire a VA, hopefully from Riva Global, and you have them start texting. You cold call them also, and then after that, or simultaneously, then you start pulling or having mailers printed. Now, do you use postcards or do you use actual letters? What
We
company
use postcards.
Okay.
Yeah, my business partner takes care of that one. I don't know, can't remember the name of the postcard company we use, but I used it. I forgot the one individual, but we also use postcards inside RealFlow. So
Okay.
there's a lot of different companies you can use that are there.
Mm-hmm.
RealFlow postcards work out well, and we have other specific one that we use. I wish I had the name, but
Yeah, no
send me an email,
problem. I
I'll send
mean,
it over to you.
for the people listening, the people we use, I've used open letter marketing before, but who I'm using now is Ballpoint Marketing, and so they have postcards and
They're good. They are good. Very
yeah,
good.
and they do handwritten, like they look handwritten, all that stuff. So I use letters from Ballpoint Marketing actually.
And the owners are good dudes too. So
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yep.
Ryan Dossie, if anybody's out there listening, Ryan and Justin Dossie. So, okay, so then you send out the letters. Now you start getting calls coming in. People, your virtual assistants are answering them, which I'm with you on. I've done some of the texting, and I don't know if it's because I'm too big of a sissy, but like as soon as I start to get confrontational text, I hate it. Like I get anxiety. And it's like I don't even have to talk to the people, but it's just like
that's why you want to outsource it. It's kind of like, all right, it's kind of like door knock. I'll give you an example, right?
Yeah.
You'll knock on a door and you'll have someone look through the blinds and they won't even answer the door. Right? Once you start doing that 10 times over, or you get the door slam in your face, you're like, screw this, I'm out. This stinks. Yeah. Same thing with texting. That's why why not have a remote lead manager, which we train in our office, which we train within Riva Global, do all that for you, because you don't take a beating. If you do it yourself, you will feel just like what you just said, and it's gonna weigh on you.
Or the cold calling. I even don't like calling back the people that have called me because they want to sell their house. I mean, I call them back and it ends up being good every time because obviously they're calling for a reason, but I still get like nervous.
It's the anxiety, right? It's
the anxiety. Part of the reason I started this podcast because I was like, man, I need to get over talking to people because this is my fear, So the
you know what, you're the perfect, you're probably on the 90 percentile of real estate investors. It's true. It's just there's a little anxiety towards that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you start sending out all these fishing lines out there. You got texting going out, you got calling going out, you got mailers going out. And you guys, it doesn't have to be, a ton of mailers at a time. If you can't really afford it, you can literally probably get set up with this. I think PropStream's $99 a month. Launch Control is a little more expensive, like $297 a month or so. Yeah. But you don't have to use that. You can do individual texting on your phone. It just take a while, but and then mailers are going to be like from anywhere from 85 cents to $1.40 a mailer, whatever you get. So if you just want to start with 500 mailers a month, just do 500 mailers a month, and you're bound to get something out of that. So the leads start coming in. Your people start answering the calls. You said you use Podio for a CRM?
We do. I use RealFlow and Podio. We did a custom build on Podio. Okay. It's funny. I jumped around in different systems. Like I spent $1,000 here, $2,000 here. I'm like, oh, I don't like this one. I like this one. So it's interesting once you start growing within your business that it starts pushing you towards a different direction, and you'll end up customizing it. But just my recommendation is just start, right? RealFlow is a great platform to start. It's very affordable. There's other platforms out there as well.
Yeah. The one we use now I did the same thing. I went to 3 CRMs, and now I'm on the one we're on now. It's called RE Simply, RESIMPLI. And it's awesome. It's so simple, which is in the name, right? Simply. So he's
a good dude too. Like the owner.
Yeah, Sherrod, I think his name is.
Sherrod.
They're on a small company, but that means they're agile, right? You can like get right in there and they'll make changes like instantly for you. So that's good.
Just let me just throw out some word of advice.
Yeah.
If you don't have a CRM, dude, who cares? Start anyway, right? Yeah. Because I know a lot of people just kind of like saying, hey, I can't start real estate if I don't have an LLC. Start real estate. Just start, because that's the hardest part of saying, well, I can't start unless I have an LLC. I can't start unless I have a CRM. Just start. You don't need any of that. When I started, I drove neighborhoods. I used the phone. I called, got a deal, made 32 grand. Then I started understanding what a CRM was. So,
Yeah.
just wanted to throw that out there.
I agree 100%. Just because we're saying we have it, but write it on a piece of paper and say, hey, I got this person. Let me call them back on this date and set a reminder in your iPhone to call this person back and follow up. You know what I mean? That's just sophisticated as you need to get until you grow to a point where you got 20, 30 leads coming in a week or something. Then you need something a little bit more. Okay. So you get the deal. Let's say you have somebody call in. They're interested in selling. House is worth 200. You offer them 130. They're okay with that. How do you go about funding the deal now? Are you using your own money? Are you getting private lending? What are you getting?
We have all three of them, right?
Okay.
So I put a lot of money away myself. I also have hard money lenders and I have private money lenders. I'll give you an example. So I borrowed, my mother-in-law has a HELOC, which obviously we know home equity line of credits are very low. So I just borrow money for her at 10%. Give her 10% interest. Perfect. I also have another hard money lender, 3 points, 12% interest. And I also have my own money. So I kind of do 3 different avenues.
Okay. So if you're going to explain to somebody the difference between, so if you're going to wholesale, do you need the money?
Wholesaling, you need zero money unless you're going to put a deposit down of $500 or $1,000, right? Yeah. But wholesaling is you're just selling the rights to that contract. You're assigning the rights to that contract. You're out. So that way you don't need any. If you're going to wholesale, means you buy it and then relist it on the MLS because you buy it at such a good discount. Then you need either hard money or private money. Rehabbing, you need either private money or hard money or your own money, right? Buy and hold, obviously you could either use your own cash, or I recommend using an institutional funding to, put your deposit down and then buy and hold.
Right. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I think like for a lot of people getting started that doesn't have a lot of money, wholesaling is kind of where everybody kind of goes in at, because as long as you're just kind of the deal finder, you go out, you find the deal, you find another investor that wants it, you sell it to them for a little bit more, you get to cut the price in between. Wholesaling can work out great if you got the money, you know what I mean? Or you got the financing, because you can make bigger margins on it. But again, you have your money tied up or you're paying interest or points or whatever. And then obviously you can do the buy and hold route, where you're going to need some sort of money to get the house under purchase, but hopefully you're buying it to where you can burr it, rehab it, and then refinance that out and get most of your money back. So
yeah, and a little bit of our structure too. So we use our team in place, which are our virtual assistants too. If you're going to wholesale, this is what I highly recommend: build a buyer's list first. Okay. So, and here's the reason why: if you're going to wholesale and you get a property under contract and you don't have any buyers for it, you just wasted money on marketing to drive in seller leads without knowing what your exit strategy is. So if you already have, let's say it's 5, 10, 15, 20 buyers, right? Get those on your list first, vet them, and then, step on the gas on marketing, cold calling, text messaging, mailing. We have our virtual assistant build buyers list for us consistently every single week as well, because there's more buyers that jump into the market every single day.
Okay. So how is that, if somebody's not using a VA, how can they build a buyer's list real quick?
So if someone's not, go to join all these Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of real estate Facebook groups near you. That's what I would do. Also look on LinkedIn. So everyone's posting stuff, meaning, you'll get a lot of profiles. You got to scrape all of that information and then outbound dial and call them and say, hey, listen, are you an active buyer right now? If you are buying, are you buying in cash, or are you getting hard money or financing? Yeah. So now if you have cash buyers, guess what? Those are the buyers you want to put in the top of your list.
Right. Okay. Because they could also be lenders.
Yep. They could.
Okay. Yeah. The Facebook groups are key. I think right now the market's so hot. So many people, like you said, are buying out there. Everybody's wanting to buy. I literally get on a Facebook group and I don't even have to post deals on there to get buyers. All I do is look at other people's posts, and there'll be freaking 200 people commenting with their emails. I'm always like, okay, well, I'll just copy all these emails down and put them in my spreadsheet. Now I got buyers that I just send out automatically because their email's already out there. They don't have to opt into me emailing them. They already opt in on Facebook.
Yeah. And what I would add to that too, make sure you vet them. Reach out to them, because there's a lot of pretenders on Facebook too. A lot of people that just want to say they're doing business and don't do crap. Right. And that's, I just went through that. So the reason why I'm delivering it that way is because I just went through a lot of pretenders where we had a property that we were wholesaling. And this was actually happened yesterday, and I looked on Connected Investor and it was my deal. I had under contract. Someone's trying to sell it, and
Oh
I
yeah.
already had an end buyer. So just know that this stuff happens. So we picked up
Hmm.
the phone, called the dude, and he's like, "Listen, oh, I didn't know. Sorry, man. Whatever story he gave you. But there's a point is the stuff you read online is not always true. So we do the old-fashioned pick up the phone, call, and really vet them. That's the only way you know.
So he was trying to wholesale.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And that's normal. That's normal. It's part of the game. I get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And,
that's okay.
and I don't think that's not a horrible thing to do, but what I've done is I specifically ask the person that has the deal, and I say, hey,
Bingo.
if I have a buyer that can buy this, can I like wholesale your deal, like sell it to this other guy?
Yeah.
And they're like, and what their answer always is yeah, but you need a certain size non-refundable deposit, and I need to close at maybe an earlier date. That way it gives me time if you back or something. There'll
Right.
be some specifics, but I always ask them. I'll ask the people,
100.
hey, is it okay if I do this? Because you don't want to be that guy out there that is scamming everybody else's deals, So
Yep. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way. You do it the right way. That's the difference
yeah,
between you and somebody else. So
yeah.
just be aware. That's all I'm saying. Just be aware out there.
Okay, cool. Well, that was a good little rundown. I mean, that's pretty much all it takes to really get one of these businesses going. I mean, obviously, once you get in it, you'll start growing and seeing what you need to change and this and that. But real quick, before we kind of transition out here, I want to touch more on Riva Global. You guys, you've mentioned it multiple times, VA company. Oh, my microphone. Can you hear me still?
Okay, you're back. You're back. You're back.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So just kind of to give everybody an overview, exactly what you do, how they can implement them, maybe what it costs. It's probably different for everybody,
Yeah.
but some of that info.
Absolutely. So Riva Global, like I said, I started this back in 2014. Been doing this for a long time. We offer virtual assistant services. We find the virtual assistants. We vet them. We go through every single one of the resumes. We screen them. We put them through initial interview, final interview, and then run them through what's called a systems check to make sure that their internet, their operating system, their system specs, their speed test is up to the level that we need it to be. And we make sure they have all the backup to support if their internet's ever down. So that's very important. So if you're going to go do this yourself, please make sure you ask those companies that same thing, run them through. Do they source? Do they screen? Do they run through interviews? Do they do a system check? Right? Very, very important. Once they get through our recruiting department and it checks all the boxes, which do they have limited accent? English proficiency is incredible. Do they have incredible communication skills? Once they flow through there, then we put them through a month of training. So we have different types of training with building buyers list, outbound dialing, text messaging, things like that we run them through. And then once they're actually through our training department, then it goes to our placements department. And I like to call our placements department kind of like match.com. So once we have a client come in, we have our placements department match them up with the VA's skill set with exactly what tasks you want done. So we have all scorecards and ratings once they get out of training to see what they're best at, right? So then we do the matchup. As soon as you pick your perfect virtual assistant, your perfect match, then it goes over into our operations team where you have what we call a client service manager that manages a relationship between yourself, your VA, and your VA. So you have an extra layer of management over there. So that's just a high level of kind of how that works.
Sure. Yeah. What does it cost? Do you pay hourly or a flat rate, or is it just like how much you use them? Can it be full-time, part-time?
Great question. So we only offer two different types of packages. We offer part-time, full-time, which is 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, and it is $9.60 an hour for full-time, $10.60 an hour for part-time. And that is, like I said, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week. We pay all of our virtual assistants insurance. We offer a great benefits packet behind the scenes as well. So.
Okay, cool. And would it be somebody that you could work with, directly? Like, hey, I need a full-time, I want somebody to do the outbound calling for me, the inbound taking the calls. I want them to do my follow-up tasks and everything like that. Can they handle all that stuff?
Yep. Yeah, and this is what I always recommend. I always say, okay, if you want an individual to do admin work, we will match up an admin type virtual assistant, someone who doesn't need to be perfect English or
Mm-hmm.
great English, but are very good at admin and getting all of tasks done. And if you need someone on the phone, it's more like an ISA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Internal
exactly.
sales agent. Yep. Who handles the phone, whether it's inbound, outbound, right, or follow up.
Yeah.
Because I think last time we talked about this on our last call, it was 70, and this is a national stat, same thing in my office. I think it's a little higher than 70%, but the national stat is 70% of all of your deals come from follow up.
Yeah.
For us, it's probably a little higher percentage, about 80%, right? We're getting deals from 6 months, 7 months, 8 months ago where we have our virtual assistants just picking up the phone saying, hey, just wonder if you're still interested in selling. We talked about 6 months ago, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I heard this good, saying. It's not a quote or anything, but it's like, if you want to get into real estate, you have to think what you do today is going to generate your income like 30, 45, or 60
Yeah.
days down the road. So if you're not doing anything today to be productive, you're not going to make any money in 60 days. So think about what you're doing. Is it actually like dollar productive work that you're actually, you can spend all day setting up your CRM and you think you worked a lot, but is that really going to make you any money?
Yeah.
No, but sending out those mailers or following up with clients or some things like that, those are the dollar productive work. It's going to
Yeah.
make you money down the road. So,
And they say $10 an hour tasks give you a $10 an hour bank account. So if you're going
that's
to be
it,
doing
man.
those $10 an hour tasks, expect to have a $10 an hour bank account.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all good information. Well, cool. Well, Bob, thanks for getting back on here again. Like I
Absolutely.
said before, everybody, I just screwed up and had him back twice, but he's actually extremely good looking if you guys like watch us on YouTube. So that's just why I wanted to get him on here. I was like, oh, let's talk to Bob again. So anyways, thanks Bob for being on. Where can people contact you, get to know your companies, all that sort of thing?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you again for having me on. Check out our website at Reva Global, REVA Global.com. You could email me direct at bob@revaglobal.com. We also have a podcast called the Friday Coffee Break Unfiltered. Check it out there if you want to see some comedy. It's really question and answers. It's every Friday at 10 a.m. So it's a little bit off the cuff, probably about 45 minutes every Friday. It's fun. You
Cool.
can throw in your questions live and we can answer them. And
Yeah.
it's not the norm, but fun.
All right. Right on, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I'll
All right, brother. Thank you.
let you know. See ya.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.